Welcome to the Dawg and Gus Show, now on Feel It Radio.
What's up, Dog?
Not much, Gus.
This is kind of an interesting evening.
Yeah, it's very interesting coming from my apartment.
Yeah, it's like the Bare Naked Lady song.
Yeah.
Your old apartment.
My old apartment. With our brand new system we got here.
Yeah, we went ahead and got a little system for the odd special that we're going to do, which is one of these. Apparently, we're doing a makeshift one. Unfortunately, our guest had a death in the family, so we're thinking about him, and we'll have him on another time.
Yep, when he's ready.
Yeah, and so we decided, what do we decide on, actually, Doug?
We're going to talk about the 27 Club, the unofficial 27 Club, if anybody who knows what that means.
Yeah, it's very interesting how big the list is.
Yes, I didn't think it was that big when I checked it out on Wikipedia. It's a long list.
It is a long list, and it's some huge stars, too.
Yeah, some very big names on the list, and some people that I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I was going through it, and I was like, wow, this is random. Like,
I did. Wow. And like we were talking about earlier, we'll talk about a bunch of them, and we'll mention a few things about them. There's actually some songs that I kind of checked out as well that are dedicated to the 27 Club.
Which ones?
Well, there's a bunch. We'll go through them after.
Yeah, we'll do that at the end.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I didn't know that Robert Johnson, who's like a legend as far every guitarist, like Jimi Hendrix said that's who he looked at as his favorite guitarist. There's a lot of those 60s, like, even Keith Richards has talked about Robert Johnson. But I didn't realize he was 27.
Yeah,
I thought he was way older.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he died, but nobody really knows how he died. There's a lot of speculation as to how he died. But yeah, like you said, he was very much like the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin. A lot of those 60s bands reference Johnson as their go-to guy, one of the Delta blues guys, right?
Well, one of the greatest of all time.
Yep.
And the reason that he didn't get any notoriety is his timing. Like, he was born in 1911, died in 1938, so there was no way that anybody would have a black guitarist as a mainstream artist.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Plus, the amount of recordings that he did as well, right? He didn't have a lot of time. He died way too young.
Yeah.
But you're right. So just think about like the fact that he's such a hero to all these guys that have, like Zeppelin and the Stones, and it's crazy.
Yep. Yeah.
Just think if he'd actually, lived past 27, what would have happened?
Well, we could say that about almost every artist.
Yeah, well, we could,
right?
Sure.
Like Robert Johnson. Like, it's funny that you say that. What they say is famously partial to women and whiskey. Johnson was allegedly poisoned by a lover's jealous boyfriend or husband.
Yep, you could believe that. Yeah, because he was known for that. There's a song by the Stone Foxes, I think it's called, and it's called "I Killed Robert Johnson," and they talk about that, the fact that he was a womanizer and stuff, and then maybe he got killed by a jealous husband.
Yeah, maybe.
We don't know though. Never will, I guess.
No.
No. Yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about.
Maybe one day we'll know. But
maybe. Well, I mean, there's, I think pretty much everybody that was involved in that is dead.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. We're not going
to find a lot of witnesses now.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody that's alive won't talk about it till the end.
Yeah. So we can speculate all we like.
Brian Jones
from the Rolling Stones.
I wonder if he named because he's a founding member, right?
Yes, he is.
No, I wouldn't because of Jones Stones.
No, I don't think so.
Jones Stones.
He
drug overdose?
He drowned, yeah.
Oh, he drowned in his own pool, that's right. Isn't there a song about him?
Yep.
Which one is it?
I don't know.
We'll have to look it up.
Yeah. I know that he was very, very influential. He was I think he was on his way out of the band, though, because he was a problem child for the Stones with his partying and his excessiveness.
Well, that's saying something.
Yeah, well, for them, absolutely. But apparently he was over the edge.
Well, I think early on, the Stones weren't as experimental with drugs, I would imagine.
No, not in the beginning, actually. No. But I think Keith kind of
knew it a little. Keith might have done something.
I think he was born on drugs.
There's so many great memes about Keith Richards, how he's gonna outlive, and he's like there's a shot of Jesus, and he's like he was here when we got here.
Yeah,
actually, so.
Yeah. Who's this guy? Well, we're just this is his world. We're just living in it.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Cockroaches and Keith.
Yeah, that's the two things that'll survive the apocalypse.
What Brian Jones was he? He must have been a guitarist.
Yeah, he was a guitar player.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, he joined the 27 Club when he passed away, sadly.
1969.
Who we got up next?
I've got Alan Blind Owl Wilson.
And who's that?
So you've heard of the band Canned Heat?
I have, yep.
Okay, so he headed up the American blues band Canned Heat, which performed at Woodstock in 99, of course, or 69, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
A songwriter, guitarist, and harmonica player. He famously retaught the aging blues legend Son House, who had been living in obscurity for decades, how to play his own songs.
Huh.
Wilson, who struggled with mental illness and had previously attempted suicide, succumbed to a drug overdose in September 1970, becoming the first of 3 acclaimed musicians to die at age 27 that year.
That year, yeah. Who were the others?
Well, they're huge for me.
Well,
I love Jimi Hendrix.
Yep, and wasn't it Janis?
Janis, yeah.
They're definitely 2.5 huge names.
Well, 3 from Woodstock, you could say. I'm sure they all hung out, I would imagine.
Well, I'm sure they all knew each other for sure, yeah.
Because they all lived like in Laurel Canyon or something.
Yeah.
Of course, Jimi Hendrix, remembered as one of the greatest electric guitarists in history. I would say so. Yeah, he died in London. Apparently, he choked on his own puke.
Yeah.
Probably from boozing and maybe
boozing
some acid.
and some illicit drugs.
Yeah. He was a heavy drug user who was particularly fond of LSD, had washed down a handful of sleeping pills with red wine before going to bed. Well, that'll do it.
Yep.
If you puke. I mean, you're not going to like turn
around. Especially if you're lying on your back, right? And you throw up and it's just going nowhere.
Well, you think he was passed out considering he took a handful of sleeping pills?
I think he was probably...
And he was cruising on LSD with red wine.
Red wine.
But I mean, that, hey, that was the lifestyle.
It was.
And then Janis, of course, ham sandwich.
No, that was Mama Cass.
I know. Oh, yeah. Was she 27?
Nope.
Oh, okay. What did she die?
Look it up. Janis.
Heroin overdose.
Yeah. Mama Cass choked to death.
Yeah, on a sandwich. She was probably 1970 also.
She wasn't 27, though.
No.
She didn't make... Sorry, Cass, you didn't make the list. You're dead, but you didn't make the list.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So, we also have...
Tell me another one.
Jim Morrison.
Yeah, I love Jim Morrison.
Sadly.
Yeah.
But,
the poet, the king.
The king.
The Lizard King.
The Lizard. I am the Lizard King.
That's so cool. He was the coolest. We talked about frontman before.
Yep.
For me, he's the coolest frontman. And it's hard to say who the coolest is, but I found him to be, you look at him, he had leather pants on. He was like really, really good looking. He had this like charismatude. And, it just sort of, to me, I looked at him like in these old videos and he was just such a charming guy and then also wild.
Well, and very, very intelligent too, right?
Oh yeah,
like beyond what he's supposed to be, right? As a rock star, as they say. They don't. A lot of people believe that rock stars aren't the brightest people in the world, but he's very, very intelligent, and a lot of them are.
Oh, I would say so. Yeah, like even like the band Weezer, I think they're all like rocket scientists.
Yeah. Well, and then Brian May, right?
Yeah,
he's definitely a rocket scientist.
Yeah, that's true, eh?
So
you forget about Brian May.
We'll just dispel that rumor that they're all, just drug-addled musicians and stuff. They got some smarts.
So going to Morrison had a heart attack caused by heroin overdose while living in Paris. It was thought that he mistook the drug for cocaine and snorted a fatal amount.
Ooh.
You know that scene in Pulp Fiction?
Oh, yeah.
Basically the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was thinking of the Doors movie.
Oh, the Doors movie is good, but they don't really remember. And that, speaking of perfect actor for that character, it was Val Kilmer looked exactly like him.
Yeah. Well, they said because Ray Manzarek, can't pronounce his last name. Oops, that's my TV telling me there's no video going on. Well, this is what happens when you do it in an apartment. But anyway, Ray Manzarek, the keyboard player, he said at times he closed his eyes and he couldn't believe it wasn't Jim standing there because he was just like, Val Kilmer is such a method actor that he was just like, my name's Jim. Don't call me Val. My name is Jim. And apparently he was so into the character that he even freaked out Manzarek. So, yeah.
Your computer's talking to you, man.
Yeah, man. It's
no, yeah, he was perfect as the actor for that character. And I found him to be, like he just sort of portrayed him so perfectly, and then showed like, what's going on with this thing, bro?
Sorry, it's off now.
Okay, cool. We'll keep talking. Jim Morrison again by Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer just nailed it. Kicked it out of the park.
Yep. Oh yeah, it was crazy. Crazy.
Playing soccer, baseball, maybe.
Yeah, soccer, baseball. Went for the home run.
Yeah.
Cool.
Next one we got is Pigpen, Ron Pigpen McKernan. He was a founding member of the Grateful Dead.
Yep. They might have done a few drugs.
Well, weren't they on tour for like 50 years?
They toured a lot.
I thought they were on tour for like they have the Guinness Book of World Records record of touring.
That could be true. I don't know that for sure, but
I thought for sure
you have to look that up,
man.
Oh, the Deadheads. I'm not a Deadhead, so I like their music, but I don't know a lot about them.
They're cool.
Yeah, I know Jerry Garcia was lead singer, and he's got a ice cream named after him.
Other than that, I've been to that. Been to Ben and Jerry's in Vermont. It was actually I didn't have the Cherry Garcia. I had the Funky Monkey.
Funky Monkey. Funky Monkey. Because it's fun to say.
He died of internal hemorrhage.
Ooh.
Wow, internal hemorrhage at 27?
Maybe he got hit or somebody hit him and he bled to death.
Because he did not share his bandmates' predilection with LSD and other psychedelic drugs. However, his heavy drinking, he was a drinker.
Yeah, okay.
He had cirrhosis, and then by 1972, his health was so fragile. Imagine having cirrhosis at 25 years old.
Yeah, how long do you have to drink to get that to be that serious?
I think you're going to be a really heavy drinker for every day, like hard.
Ouch.
But that's like hardcore. Like to be 25 and have cirrhosis already?
Crazy. That is insane.
Yeah, but at a different time.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure there's people out there now that drinks that like that, unfortunately.
We've served people like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, but they're not 27.
Nope, not anymore. They made it past the 27 club.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a pretty good name. I mean, the Grateful Dead, big band.
Yep.
Pete Ham. So he was lead vocalist of the 70s rock band Badfinger.
Mm-hmm.
He crafted some of their best-selling songs, Baby Blue and No Matter What. He also co-wrote Without You, a #1 hit, which would later be covered by Harry Nilsson and Mariah Carey. Ham worked with the Beatles after the group signed to their Apple label. One of the band's biggest singles in 1970s was Come and Get It with Paul McCartney. Ham died just days before he would have turned 28 on April 27th, 1975.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. It's like, I got a few more days. Oh, I might as well die now.
Well, it's just so, yeah, like you know, the thing that boggles me is like these artists, they're 27, and you think, okay, when you're in your prime in sports or in music, I would imagine it'd be like right around 30.
Yep.
And that's when you're like mentally the best and physically, and then you have the most you have great experience.
Yep.
So, seeing how crazy talented these people were at 27 years old, like Janis Joplin was an amazing front woman.
Yep.
Great singer, great presence. Maybe not a great singer, but had her own.
Well,
way.
She had her own style, right?
And then, and Jimi Hendrix. I mean, obviously he's a virtuoso. And
it's crazy, like you said, to be 27 years old and to be at that level.
Well, think of the music they would have produced.
Would they have, though? That's the thing.
You never know, man. Well, you're right. Maybe they wouldn't have been as good as we thought. However, based on you're absolutely right.
Maybe they peaked at 27 and that was it.
Yeah. People have.
We'll never know.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to think, okay, well, if they're working with Paul McCartney, like the lead singer for Badfinger, he's got a big career ahead of him.
Yeah.
You're just writing with Paul McCartney.
Oh, that's all you're doing? Wow.
Yeah. And by then, Paul McCartney in the 70s would have been they were already huge, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
The Beatles were the biggest band ever. So, yeah, I think that you got to think, how long would these guys be able to go? But again, if you're drinking and drugging all the time, there's no chance.
It was such that's so much part of their culture at that time too, right? It was everybody was doing, even groups that you never think were doing drugs. It was like the Everly Brothers.
Yeah,
they were hardcore.
I know.
Apparently, back in the day, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, all of them, right? Were doing something. Johnny Cash, they were all doing something.
Yeah.
Right, and then some people just took it.
Clapton had a big problem, and then he stopped. Right.
But the thing, and all these guys performing at that level with that amount of drugs in your system, it's like, were the drugs actually, helping?
I think so.
The process?
I have to say yes.
I have to say I believe that as well.
Because, to think of things like outside of the box, Jimi Hendrix with his, I keep going back to him because I'm a huge fan. But he basically brought in this sound with a guitar that you just never heard before.
Yeah. Now, because he was taking LSD, that was something that would mess up your just your whole thought process to begin with, right?
Yeah, like lighting a guitar on fire on stage might be a big part of it, you know?
Yeah, or just like hearing and seeing the chords, like seeing the music, right? Because they're like, I can see this, man. And that did that make him better?
Oh, for sure. Maybe. I don't know.
Who knows?
They had to be good at one point before that.
Well,
however,
I'm not saying the drugs took over, sure, lots of years of practicing and stuff too, right? But it's just like to expand your mind to that point to be and to do the things he was doing. Like on page 2, right?
Yeah.
Who takes a freaking violin bow to a guitar? Like what makes you think to do that?
Yeah.
You know
And the
what I
other
mean?
thing too, I think a lot of them struggle with, and we'll get to one guy that really did struggle with the popularity.
Yeah.
And the fact that, all of a sudden you're a huge star.
Yep.
All you want to do is chill and play music.
Yep.
And then you have these crazy things coming at you, like women or men, and
whatever.
and drugs and alcohol and like parties, and you're invited to these things and some money's thrown at you, and like it's just very challenging especially if you come from nothing, which a lot of these people do.
Yeah.
They don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So they start hiding out in drugs, and
Yep.
and that's the thing, because there's no privacy too.
Well, the thing is, you lose that, right? Like the minute I know who you're talking about. And if you're an introvert who plays music and all this stuff's coming at you, what do? You definitely delve into the drugs to escape from everything.
Many musicians and artists that are famous now have, or even who have famously died that are not in the 27 Club, all were mostly introverts, to be honest. I mean, there were some extroverts that, of course, overdid it and died of overdoses, but like many, many singers and many, many songwriters have died because they can't handle it.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. I would imagine it'd be super hard to lose all your privacy and then have people wanting something from you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't give it to them.
Well, that's the thing too, and you get it into your head. Do they want this from me because of who I am or what I can do for them?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, it's hard to discern. Okay, I'm being nice to James. He's a superstar, but why is he being nice to me? What does he want when it could be nothing at all?
In most cases, I don't want anything from anybody.
No, but the thing, what I'm just using as an example, it's like, some people are just like, I'm just happy to meet you. And the guy's going, well, what do you want? What is your angle?
Skeptical.
Yeah,
sure,
and sometimes there's no angle. It's just, oh my God, you're amazing. Thank you for what you do, and that's it. I don't want anything from you, but their mind goes to, okay, so what's your angle? What are you trying to get out of me? And yeah, it's amazing that they don't rip people's heads off.
As an introvert, you are.
Yes.
Although you have your moments of
I do have my moments.
But do you find that challenging? Like if somebody was, do you question why someone?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly why.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, why are you paying attention to what I'm saying? Like, yeah, all the time. So I imagine if you're at the level of a Jimi Hendrix or a Jim Morrison and somebody's coming up to you and you're not even sure if they're actually being genuine.
Yeah, because there's probably a lot of
there's a lot of people, users and abusers, right? To get an in, to hang with, be in that posse, to be part of, right?
Just to be in that
hangers on,
just to be in that air. I think like just to be like in the room, Yeah, I think it's very
seriously
cool. Yeah,
it'd be like there were a lot of people like that. You see them in the background. Why are you here? Well, it's because Hendrix and Joplin and Brian Jones and. Come on, this is like history being made, and these people are just like hangers-on with no talent that are just kind of there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would be a lot skeptical about that.
For sure. And I don't blame them really because there are a lot of sharks out there.
Oh, yeah.
And they're trying to give you drugs. They're trying to get you.
Well, that's it. And they're very predatory, right? And once you're like, especially
if you have money, that's what they're after, really, in most cases.
Or you're the fame with you, right? Like all of a sudden, Jimi Hendrix has his buddy that's always with him. It's like, well, who are you? I said, well, I'm Jimi Hendrix's buddy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he's famous by proxy. You know what I mean? Because all of a sudden, he's the guy with Hendrix all the time.
So when we're famous, promise me that you won't change, okay?
I'll do my best. I'll probably become a recluse. I'll be like Brian Wilson.
I'll pull you out of we'll have to do it in your apartment all the time,
Yeah, I'll be the Brian Wilson, right? You don't see me for 40 years.
What happened to Dawg? Oh, we got too famous too fast, bro.
I wouldn't be able to deal with that for sure.
We're looking for sponsors, by the way. No,
to make us famous.
Did I say Pete Ham?
Yes, you did.
Okay, so Kurt Cobain.
Who?
the guy that we kind of alluded to, but Kurt Cobain couldn't deal with that stress, man.
No.
He was so uber talented, and as a writer, and even Dave Grohl talks about him, it looks like he just wanted to be a small band. They went from being a small band to crazy famous in 1 week.
Yeah, it's insane with the grunge, right? And whenever you hear the word grunge, who do you think of?
Well, Kurt Cobain comes to your mind right away.
Exactly.
Right? And Nirvana.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, you still hear about Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and all these
great
Seattle
bands.
Unreal bands.
Great bands.
And another guy that died in Alice in Chains on at 27, but he was, overdosed because he was a recluse also, not a recluse, but like an introvert. But Kurt Cobain talked about it. Like even in Dave Grohl, I heard an interview with Dave Grohl, and he's talking about they finished Nevermind, the album, and they all went to Ireland, and they went for a trip to Ireland because they just let's go away for a bit.
Seriously, get away from everything.
And they came back. Their album was #1 everywhere.
Yeah.
And could you imagine like that, like going from, you say, we're just normal guys. Like Dave Grohl was working on a freaking record shop, and I think Kurt Cobain was working at like a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And maybe Starbucks, actually.
Ooh.
Because it did start in Seattle. Anyways, but they come back and all of a sudden you're the most famous band in the world.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even imagine like the pressure that you get when you get home, like, having people talk to you and like out of nowhere, and you're like, man, we're just a small band.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like you leave and you're in Ireland and you're just doing your thing, and you come back and all of a sudden you can't step off the plane without people going, oh my God, it's those guys. And like you said, Kurt Cobain, if he's an introverted person, leave me alone.
He's very introverted. And then of course he got into drugs, and
that was his escape, right?
Yeah. And he loved being a dad. That was a big thing for him. He loved having his daughter, and he was very much a loving father. However, very big demons.
Yeah. Oh, huge.
And and problem is if you have not to say having a loaded shotgun is a bad thing in your house, but if you're a drug addict and an introvert with some depression,
you might not want to have one of those around.
Yeah. And then I don't know. Then there's the whole conspiracy of it.
Yeah.
Which you couldn't. I mean, you can't. The way you can't explain how it's possible that she would have been able to do it the way that it was done.
Yeah.
So to me, he killed himself.
Well, the thing is, they're talking about like how he could do it with a long barrel of a shotgun and having, you know what I mean? This the logistics of doing it. But I guess the police know what they're doing. So I mean, they ruled it a suicide, even though fans thought it was, it's all Courtney, right?
Well, I think the girl probably thinks that, but he won't say it out loud.
Yeah, I think he does. But
yeah, you're right though. He's not tall. Like he doesn't have unless
he doesn't have like 8 feet long arms.
Like the bassist was 6'8" or whatever. Yeah. But it's tough because you don't want to say that, and you don't want to get into that because it was so long ago. It was like 20 years, 30 years ago.
It's a long time.
And it was hugely influential in my life. I loved Nirvana.
Yeah. See, and I fell into them later on.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
you would have been in your 20s. So.
I was actually in my late 20s.
Yeah. Married? Were you married then?
Yeah.
And Dog's been married, just so you guys know.
Well, another lifetime ago. But yeah, I just me. I love music and stuff, and it's sad to see somebody so prolific take their own life, and it's sad.
Oh, so sad.
It's like sorry, I shouldn't say that. Anybody that takes their life is sad when they could have, just talk about it. But
so much we can talk about there.
I mean, we could get into a whole.
We could. I don't mind. You know what, man? It's important to talk about that. And the other thing too that a lot of male people don't talk about is the pain they're feeling. Or mentally how unhealthy they are because 75% of suicides are men.
Yep.
So
there's so many every day that the stats are staggering. And it's sad, very sad.
Very much so. Hey, Dog, want some hot sauce for your tacos?
You brought your own hot sauce?
Damn right. Have you tried Gringo's Sizzling Nirvana? It'll change your life.
Nice. Are there other types of sauces?
Absolutely. There's different hot sauces for different palates, incredible barbecue sauces, red pepper jam, and salsa. All of them use fresh ingredients, and it can be delivered to your door.
Hey, how do we get some?
Go to www.gringosblazingsauces.com and order some.
Gringos Blazing Sauces.
Bring the fire to your food. Yeah, so mental health.
Very important to talk about it. Exactly. Talk about it. It's not shameful to talk about it.
Please do. I'd rather, there was a great saying, I'd rather listen to my friend talk to it than go to his funeral.
Yep.
So that's
that's a definite absolute right there.
yeah. It was a great. I think it's a fight like this fighter that said it out loud when he was being interviewed after winning a fight in UFC, and he just said, "I'd rather I'd rather you come to me and talk than me go to your funeral."
Yep. I'd rather, like, seriously, have somebody call me up in the middle of the night and talk to me all night long than to find out they've taken their life. That would be, like, I wouldn't care.
Yeah, and I've had friends who have died.
Me too.
In not entirely from suicide, but mental unhealthy, and then through drugs and such.
Yep.
Even a friend of mine, Kevin, who was 42 years old. It was like, just it's heartbreaking because it's if you just waited 24 hours, and just before you made that decision to do it, you would have probably gotten over that little moment, and then maybe
it's hard to
been
say.
able to see. I don't want to downplay it at all.
No,
it's just
hard to say.
It's just somebody you could call.
Yep. It's hard to say. Even with the call and even the talk, sometimes it's just
it's too far gone, man.
Yeah,
it's
sometimes
mental illness is tough.
Yep.
It's sneaky.
It's very snaky. So sneaky, whatever.
Same idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Amy Winehouse.
Sadly, another talented
What
individual.
a voice, bro.
Yep.
Incredible. I love Amy. My niece Dusty, who's an artist as well. She's a musician and she's excellent. But she sounds a lot like Amy Winehouse. Yeah.
Nice.
I'll play it for you after.
Nice comparison.
And she loved her. I mean, 2011, she would have been like probably 18 or 19 because I think she's 30 now.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, it would have been super influential for her.
Yeah, it's great. Like, and she died of an overdose, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, but
she fought addiction for years.
She was a heavy drinker and stuff too. I think.
Tabloid. She was in the tabloids all the time, so it doesn't help, eh?
No,
her song is notably hit as Rehab, of course, and then she was found dead in her London apartment, becoming the latest musician to have their career cut tragically short at age 27. There's no how she died, but I would imagine battling drug and alcohol for years. Unfortunately, like sometimes it'd probably be heroin,
unknown,
or opioids of some sort. But
it's just now I don't want to cast blame on people and stuff, but I mean, I just don't see why it's so important to follow these people 24/7 every day of their life to get a picture of them. It's like, leave them alone.
No, it's impossible. I don't know.
Seriously, I'll give you your pictures, but let me go have dinner. Let me be with my family. Let me be a normal person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and to be a person, and I get why they're doing it because they have to get paid and all this shit, but it's like, have some self-respect and have some mutual respect.
Yeah.
Because you could say, okay, between the hours of 12 and 10, you could have me as a favor.
Yeah, if I'm out and about, take your pictures,
photos,
whatever.
I'll give you autographs. Let me finish my meal, I'll give you an autograph.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Like, if you ever watch Keanu Reeves, he takes like the subway in Toronto.
Yeah,
and
I know.
stuff. He's like, it's like he's secretly, he knows he's famous, and he's apparently the nicest guy ever.
That's all I've heard.
Yeah, and he basically just, it's like his superpower is that he's so famous that he pretends that he isn't, that people just don't even bother him.
They leave him alone.
Although I find in Toronto and maybe less now, but back in the day, like even when I worked at Lone Star, I think I've told you before, Kiefer Sutherland came in.
Yep.
I'm a huge Kiefer Sutherland fan. And I went and talked to him after his meal, and after he said, "Thank you for waiting for me to finish." And then I got an autograph with him, and I chatted with him for a few minutes. And he talks about Ottawa because his mom's from Ottawa, and his dad's from like the East Coast. But he spends a lot of time here, and you don't see him because he's incognito, man. He goes hides in his. I think they all have like a Muskoka cottage,
or something up in that
Martin
area.
Short does. I know a lot of guys that are famous.
Dan Aykroyd and stuff. Yeah, they'll look there.
Yeah. Aykroyd's in Kingston actually all the time. So
well, that's where he's from, right? Yeah. But I agree with that completely. I think in Canada though, we're a little bit more respectful of people's privacy than like in other places.
We're not after the picture as bad.
No. I mean, when I worked at Zach's, we had people we had Robert Plant come in.
Oh.
I met Robert Plant, and that was the coolest day of my life. But Bryan Adams has been there, Honeymoon Suite. I bought breakfast for Blue Rodeo, and it's like they're normal people. They want to sit and eat their meals. Leave them alone. Yeah. Yes, afterwards we'll talk to you, but let us have our goddamn meal.
What was Robert Plant like?
He was awesome. I have a whole story.
Tell me.
Well, he came in with 3 other guys, and 2 of the guys were like long, lanky guys with long hair and stuff. So they're probably guys in his band. And the other guy was dressed in a security guard uniform. And the 4th guy is wearing this big reggae hat and these huge sunglasses. And I'm like, okay, well, down in the Byward Market, that's not an oddity, right?
No.
So anyway, the server starts serving them. And at one point, she comes over and she says, Dave, I think I'm serving Robert Plant's band. I'm like, okay, that's pretty exciting. He's in town. So I walk over to get a better look, and I'm looking at the guy with the big hat and the glasses, and I'm like, I think that's Robert Plant. So immediately, they're on the phone. The guys at the Blue Cactus, which is on the corner, was owned by the same people at the same time. They come running over, start looking in the window, right? Everybody all of a sudden is like all focused on this table. So sure enough, he takes the hat off, the hair comes down, takes the glasses off. It's Robert Plant. Anyway, when he was done, one of the servers that was working actually had his CD. He got a signed CD from him.
So cool.
Yeah, and then Robert Plant, when he was leaving, he said to me, I guess the disguise didn't work very well. I said, listen, if you come in with a baseball cap on, I would never looked at you twice. But it was the big reggae hat to kind of, and all he had was ice cream. But it was super cool, a very, very surreal moment for anybody who's a Robert Plant / Led Zeppelin fan. It was crazy.
Oh.
The pandemonium of people outside looking in the window and stuff, and him just casually eating his ice cream and stuff. It was awesome.
He's probably used to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure he's had it for 30 years at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. It was very cool.
I would have been so stoked. Imagine you had your phone then. Like you'd have
a
great cool photo with him. But
we didn't have it at that time, but
No.
it was really cool, and I like, I've had that experience. But
so cool.
yeah. Anyway.
So there are some hip-hop artists.
Yes, they're on that list that we looked at.
Yeah, I just wanted to see who I've got here.
Juice WRLD is, I'm going to mention him in a song later.
Freaky Ta.
Yeah.
So Freaky Ta was with the Lost Boys. I loved the Lost Boys. They have a song called Renee, which you would love.
Oh, yeah?
It's actually just really well written and a cool story and a great beat, and it has it all.
Right.
It's a great song.
Cool. I have to listen to that.
Yeah. Stretch was a rapper. Cammy, sorry. He was a drummer. But to me, I think Freaky Ta is probably the most famous 27-year-old that died as a rapper.
Yeah. And a lot of them die a lot younger, right? It's just like, for them, it seems like I'm going to get famous at 19 and die at 21.
Yeah, man. Drugs, and also the
lifestyle, right? Like just
that, and they come from probably a hood mentality, and also they some gang members, and unfortunately, and then they get into trouble with that, and they don't lose their affiliation to like Snoop was a gang member and got out. Right, he's a Crip. Like he got out, and the thing is that if you ever watched Straight Outta Compton, which is a phenomenal movie, by the way,
did watch it.
But Suge Knight was a Blood.
Yep.
He was always in red and always, and there was a big thing between the two of them because Snoop was always wearing his blue, right?
Yep.
And it was a big, we would never know anything like this because there's Bloods and Crips in Canada, but like it's not like LA.
I am not that well versed in rap music, but I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew that there was Bloods and Crips, and I knew the colors too.
Yeah.
So that's how much it is prevalent, because if somebody like me knows that, then it's pretty prevalent.
When we get our bandanas made, they'll be black and red and blue. And they're going to be like those, but there'll be no reasoning. It's just because we like the colors red and blue.
The colors look good. It's nothing to do with any support between. We don't want to get in any trouble over that. Yeah, especially if we get famous. Look, they support the Bloods and the Crips.
Yeah, we don't care.
Yeah.
Like younger rappers, like like Biggie and Tupac.
Yeah,
they were both in there. Like they were 24.
Yeah,
and still considered the greatest hip hop artists of all time
at 24.
Yeah, they were like what was Tupac was releasing stuff when he was 19 that was unbelievable.
Yeah,
like same, and so was Biggie. Biggie, there's a video I'm going to show you after of Biggie freestyling in Brooklyn before he's famous. He's like 17 years old, and he's fucking crushing it. And excuse my language.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but it's like crushing it, like so good.
Like I'm trying to think back. I was 17. I was graduating from high school.
Yeah, but you weren't living on the.
No, I wasn't.
You weren't selling crack on the streets and shit. So
no, I was selling it on the base it up. No, kidding. It's a joke.
Just weed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No.
Mom's listening.
Mom doesn't listen.
Mine does.
Yeah, I know your mom's.
Mom, I didn't sell weed.
No, neither did I, Mom.
Stearnsy did, though. Shout out to Stearns. I don't know if he's listening.
He will be. When we tell him that we mentioned him on the podcast.
Yeah, I'll tell him.
Yeah.
So name some of those songs that you're talking about.
Right. So I was looking, we went through Wikipedia, and there's a whole bunch of information on songs that were written that reference the 27 Club. And Fall Out Boy has a song called 27. And it references Jimmy and Janice and Brian Jones. And then there's a gentleman named John Craigie, and his song is called 28. And it was written from the perspective of Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, and Kurt Cobain. And he wrote the song when he was 27. So that's pretty cool.
That's cool. And
the one lyric in it was called, "If I Could Only Make It to 28." Hence the name of the song.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Eric Burdon from the Animals has a song called 27 Forever on his 2013 album, Till Your River Runs Dry. And then Lat Live is another group that did another song called 27 Club. And 2013 seems to be a year for writing songs about the 27 Club, because I've got like 4 references that were all done in 2013. Magenta's 2013 album, the 27 Club, references the club, and each track is dedicated to one of the members.
Interesting.
So that'd be an interesting listen to. And getting a little bit more current, Daughtry. He has a song called Long Live Rock and Roll, and it's 2013 again, and it's they're Forever 27, Jimmy, Janice, and Brian Jones. So that's one of the lyrics from that song. But it's a great song to listen to, because he's talking about who's better, the Beatles or the Stones, who's this, who's that. It's a great song.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But he references a bunch of them in that song.
Daughtry, yeah, I like Daughtry, actually.
Daughtry's awesome.
Watsky.
Yes, go. Yep.
Yeah, so he had a song called All You Can Do with the lyric, "I tried to join 27 Club, they kicked me out." The song then goes on to reference some of famous members like Amy Winehouse, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, Jim Morrison, and Brian Jones.
Yep.
And then my nephew and niece love Mac Miller.
Mac Miller was next on my list, yeah.
Yeah, so I think I have the same list. And so they have that song called Brand Name, where his lyric says, "To everyone who sell me drugs, don't mix it with all that bullshit. I'm hoping not to join the 27 Club."
Yep.
He died at 26.
Yep. Yeah, it's some of this stuff is just scary, like eerie scary.
Yeah.
Like just some of the references and some of the things that are happening in
Fentanyl,
when they're writing this. Yeah. He had oxycodone that was fake. It was laced with fentanyl, and that's what killed him.
Yeah.
So that's,
stay away from that oxy, man.
Yeah, you got to stay away, especially when, yeah. And then Halsey had a song called Colors, and it says, "I hope you make it to the day you're 28 years old." So a lot of the recent music folks are definitely referencing this 27 Club. Hopefully it's not something like a banner you want to get to. I'd like to see everybody get past that.
Well, the thing with the hip hop artists is they're trying to get to 27.
Yeah, they'd love to be in the 27 Club, because they're all dying at 21 and 22.
Exactly, like Juice WRLD referenced the club on his 2018 song Legends, where he says, "What's the 27 Club? We ain't making it past 21."
Yeah.
Extension was killed at 20. Little Peep, who died from an overdose at 21. Juice WRLD himself died at 21 from an accidental overdose.
Yeah.
So it's always like, it doesn't matter what kind of rock star you are. Hip hop,
no,
rock and roll. It all comes down to a lot of the time it's lifestyle.
Yep.
And they do drugs, and they drink a lot.
Yep.
And it's again probably because they're miserable.
Yeah. And do we have a part in that? That's that, you know what I mean?
I think that people, as a fan, we get excited if we saw, like, you saw Robert Plant, but again, you were respectful.
Yeah.
And I think that the problem is maybe more with social media now, especially too.
It's insane now.
You get 50 million followers or something. And it's like, okay, well, go follow us at Dawg and Gus. 50 million followers, and then you basically, you have to. You're watched under this microscope all the time. Not even like the smart actors and actresses and musicians but the unfortunate part is it's impossible to not have social media.
You need it. Unfortunately, these days it's part of our culture now. You have to, It's very rare to find somebody that high up in the entertainment business who's not on Twitter, who's not on Instagram, who's not on Facebook. Like all of them, are there for in some way or another to promote what they're doing or whatever. Like even like our you know, like now I'm gonna forget his name. Go on.
Well,
It'll come back to me.
Yeah, a friend of ours.
No, just like another famous Canadian. I forget his name.
Drake.
No, he's not that famous to me.
It's pretty famous.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, like I think I know what you're going with. It'll come to you.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like certain you got it?
Neil Young.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Even like in
he doesn't have it, does he?
He's on Spotify.
Oh, yeah.
But he pulled everything off Spotify to you know because of
Rogan, whatever.
Yeah.
And I like Neil Young music, obviously, but
Yeah.
again, he's done a lot of political things like that too.
Yes, he has. So. Yeah, over the years, over his whole career.
Yeah. At some point, you're just like, okay, you're just, you know. And again, not going to say this, but like, you know how they're just musicians.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're human beings.
Yes,
right?
they're human beings first.
Let's treat them that way, but they also shouldn't have this like grandiose, you know. I think it's cool that you're a musician and you're famous, but there's like we've interviewed some musicians that are probably better than some of the famous musicians now.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'm not saying that, you know, we're on a music podcast, so we're not shitting on anybody, but
no, but it's hard though. Like just think about if like there's a point where we, you know, get to the point where people know who we are.
Yeah.
Are we going to change? It's
course
easy for us.
It's easy to change completely.
It's going to be easy for us to sit here and say, no, we'll never change. We'll keep our, you know, and it's
ego comes in a little bit. I think you're right. Of course, if we say we did, you know, get big and whatever, have our own show, and we would love to have our own show, but you know, we have our own show, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that ego creeps in. I would hate for like you and we've already kind of had the discussion where it's like we're not breaking up. There's no way because what's the point? You know, like you know.
Well, the thing is, it's fun.
Although you're an asshole, but
it's fun to have your ego stroked. It is true. You know what I mean? It's fun for people to say, "Hey, you know what? We love your show. We love the banter. We love the way that you guys talk to each other and stuff." And I like that. That's fun.
Me too.
It's fun to have people that don't know us say, "You guys are like, I really like your show. I'm really digging it," and that makes me feel good.
Of course.
You know, and so to get to the point where you've got like 10 million people following you and they're going like they're oh my God, we just got a picture of Dawg and Gus. Oh my God.
At Dawg and Gus. At Dawg and Gus on all social media platforms.
Yeah.
Come on. Just kidding.
Oh my God. I can't believe you just did it. Anyway, it's mind blowing to me. Like, I don't know how I'd react if we ever got to that level. I don't
You're
know.
right. You're right. I speak like I don't know either. And I shouldn't speak like that. I would just find that sometimes just stay in your lane, man.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand that you have a platform but again, maybe we would do the same thing.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, where does it stop with what you're allowed to say as a musician? Are you allowed to be political? Are you allowed to tell people your opinions on things? Why is your opinion better than this person's opinion? Why is it more? If you're more informed, great. But your opinion shouldn't hold more weight because you're a rock star.
Or even like, you know how divided we all are now. Like everybody who's a Democrat hates a Republican, and every Republican hates a Democrat, and if you're a liberal or conservative, you know, in the end, you know, like what we used to do, I never ever thought of. I hung out with whoever if you were political to being a conservative or being a liberal. I never thought of your political party as my decision on how I'm going to treat you or be friends with you or whatever.
Yeah.
It's amazing how divided we are now. And again, I go back to social media, and I think that's a big part of it, too.
It's a huge part, especially on Twitter.
Yeah. Twitter's a mess, man.
Yeah. But I think it's funny because I've made the joke a few times with friends that I'm a music snob, right? If you don't know music, then don't even talk to me. That's a joke, right? I don't base my friendships on how much music you know, because then we wouldn't be friends.
Yeah.
That's a shot, right?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, I'm just teasing.
I got my lane, you got yours.
No, seriously. Everybody has their musical knowledge, like what they know, and some people know.
Oh, you know a lot.
Stupid.
Though,
well, I do, but there's other people who know just as much and more, and that keeps me grounded because I know I'm not. If I knew everything about music, I wouldn't be sitting here.
No, you'd be doing something else.
Yeah, I may take you with me. I don't know.
Well, I am the looks of the operation.
Yeah, you are. You're the.
No, I'm just kidding.
You're the eye candy for sure.
Well, but then I know a lot more about the the grunge, and I know a lot more about the hip hop.
Exactly.
I understand your point. Yeah, it's
everybody has their. I only know a few people who don't really follow music and don't have it in their life every day, and I can't understand them. It's very foreign to me because I'm listening to music all the time.
Yeah.
I walk to the pharmacy to get my meds. I got my headphones on. I'm going for my walks every day. I've got headphones on. Like, I don't understand people who can not listen to music.
Well, James Leclerc doesn't listen to music in the car. I mean, you were shocked.
I can't believe that.
I know, you were totally shocked.
I'm like, what? Because that's the thing. I turn off the radio. I put on one of my my playlists that I got going. I cannot not.
Well, you made a playlist right after we spoke to Dallas.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, I got to go back to my 90s, my 90s.
And I made a
country
90s playlist of country music. Yeah, and I think I can count the amount of times I haven't driven with music in my vehicle on my one hand. Yeah. And that was probably after a really bad day at work. I just I can't deal with it.
I only listen to our podcast.
Yeah, that's it.
Driving.
Yeah, I don't.
I listen to a lot of books, and I do, but when I want to get going, and if I'm feeling like on my way here today, I was blasting music,
nice.
Because I was tired, and I had to get wired up a bit.
Yeah,
and it was great.
It's just, and I
love music, man.
It's such a I know it's everybody says it and stuff, but I can't even count the amount of times that music has saved me. Like, just like in a bad place, sit back, listen to some music, something that I need to listen to, and I'm good. And it's always been that way with me. And
changes your mood, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, sometimes it's got to be sad, sappy music so I can have a good meltdown, and then sometimes it's like the heavier stuff just to amp me up, just to, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's just random stuff where it's like, oh my God, I made a playlist of just random stuff that I love. And it's got like the Beatles. My favorite Beatles tune, which is Nowhere Man. I love that tune.
Yeah.
So I started out with that, and I got a little Elvis Presley on there, and then I go into,
Elvis.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Like, Tanya Tucker, like stuff that I listened to when I was like 10. And I love that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Music, man.
Yeah. So one more one I want to talk about too is The Pretty Reckless had a song. And I love The Pretty Reckless. They're awesome.
Yeah,
Taylor
we were
Momsen.
playing a bit before we started.
Yeah, Taylor Momsen's not hard to look at. But she wrote a song called Rock and Roll Heaven. And she wrote it about the 27 Club, and she references a bunch of the guys in that. And the reason she wrote it was really cool. I didn't know this. She was a little depressed, in a depressive state because of her producer, and I'm not going to say this right, Kato Kandawala and Chris Cornell. Had passed away, and so she got into this space where she wrote this tune. But they had opened for Chris Cornell the day before he died. So, like, imagine like having that guy, you're opening for him one day, and he's gone the next.
And he's your
hero, and he's one of your ultimate idols, and he's producing your album, and he's gone.
One of my favorite frontmen ever.
Yes, I know. He was another one that's
just if you listen to Audio Slave,
Audio Slave's awesome. Love him.
Like, obviously Soundgarden is amazing, and his own stuff, his version of Billie Jean is incredible. But he just had that thing, man.
And it's like,
but again, they fight these demons, dude. And it's like, you think, okay, he's got all the money, he's got all, like, any woman he wants to have, or any man, or whatever he was into.
Yeah.
Anything he wanted was at his fingertips.
Yep.
Music, he could buy a new guitar, any guitar he wanted.
Yeah.
They would actually send it to him. You could call, he could say, Gibson, could you send me one of these?
Yep.
Yeah. Of course, Chris.
Of course, yeah, hey, we just made a new guitar. We just named it Cornell.
Doesn't make you happy in the end, right? It doesn't make you totally happy. It's terrible. I thought you think you're doing what you like. The fun thing is when you find that job that you're doing that you love, and it doesn't feel like work. Like this doesn't feel like work to us because we enjoy it.
No, we do.
I would love it to be my job.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. However, it's fun, but you find that thing and you think that's it, and you don't have to do anything. It's like poor Chris Cornell. He's like this amazing songwriter, amazing artist, and again, like another, like even Mac Miller and going through the 27 Club. I mean, Amy Winehouse, and you have all these, you have everything you ever want at your fingertips, but
maybe not.
Well, I think that they're missing that true connection. Like you were saying earlier, how you didn't know who was genuine and who wasn't.
Yeah,
I think being genuine is like such a great trait, first of all, but also I think these people are jaded, man. They get screwed over by producers, and then they get the music, like even Prince was, how he talked about how the music industry, all of the big studios and
it's crazy.
With them.
Like, why do we have studio heads who are not musicians and are musically inclined deciding what music we're supposed to listen to?
Money.
I know, and it's sad that you have to live, right? If you're going to be a musician full time, you need to be making money.
Yeah.
Like, it's great to be a starving musician, but it's not as great as being a musician who has food in the refrigerator.
Yeah, and a nutritionist and a personal trainer, and you have any car you want, you have any piece of music you want. You can work with any artist. You can have access to everything.
Yeah,
yeah, it's tough, man. That's that's like slavery almost, in the sense that you're not selling your soul, but you're like, okay, well.
Yeah, but you're selling you.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You're selling a persona.
And you you're not making music that you really genuinely love either.
Well, that's the thing too, right? And that's what Prince rebelled against, was like, no, I'm going to do what I want to do, and you're not going to tell me what to do. Like, I'm the artist. And if my fans don't like it, oh well. I'm sorry. I tried. Like, I'm doing what I really, really love, and I'm hoping that you'll love it.
And we do.
And we do. And we always do. Yeah. Well, it's the same thing, like, to reference Garth Brooks when he did the Chris Gaines thing, when he became a rock star.
Yeah.
Everybody panned him. It's like, let the man do his thing. He just wants to try this once for fun. He wanted to see what it would be like to do it. The album's not that bad. It ain't great, but it's not, it's not what you'd expect from Garth Brooks. But again.
Did he take a lot of heat for that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Just like from the music itself to the look that he had, because he had the hair coming down over his face. And he was wearing makeup and stuff, and he was trying to be like a glam rock. I actually own the album.
Of course you do.
Of course I do.
You're a huge Garth fan.
Because he's Garth, right?
Yeah.
And I'm interested, but it's just like, why do you get to tell me what I get to do? Like, you know what I mean? And sadly, that's the industry. That's the industry. And it's sad that a lot of these artists, amazing artists with all this amazing stuff that they could put out, don't get to, because a person says, no, that's not going to sell. This will sell.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just amazing to me. Like, I just can't.
And are we that dumb too? Like, where they know us so well that they're going to just put this out.
Well, that's just it, right?
This will sell. Yeah. Trust me. And then it does, right?
Just imagine if we got to the point where we had somebody telling us what we were allowed to talk about and what we were allowed to say. Would we be doing this anymore? I don't think I would be. Like, if you're going to, no, you can't say that, or you have to say this, or you've only got to talk about this.
No, we wouldn't.
No, we wouldn't be doing it.
No.
But somebody who this is their life, am I a sellout because I'm doing what Johnny Executive wants me to do? But I need to live. And I'm an artist. I have my integrity. But again, I can't.
I think the challenge is too, like, and some of them probably say, okay, I'll do this for them. Mm-hmm. I think John Mayer says it, actually. He goes, like, you do a couple for them, and then you do your own thing.
Yeah. Like, I think artists are getting a lot smarter these days. I didn't say that they weren't smart before, but they're taking a lot more control of their product, which they should. It should always be in their control. It should never be in somebody else's control. Like, it's okay, Mr. Guy, you're going to do 2 albums for us, and this is what we want you to do, and after that, you can do whatever you want. I think
they probably don't even say that.
I doubt it.
And then the musician's like, well, I'll do the 2 albums.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like,
because look at Lady Gaga. She did that.
Like, she's amazing. Like, I don't like everybody that pans her for doing this and doing that, for being herself. She's a genuine individual, an amazing talent. And you know what? Do it your way, because you shouldn't have to do it anybody else's.
She's done everything, man. She was a huge pop star. Like, she did those songs that she didn't really like to do, like Poker Face and stuff like that. And
because it was pop.
Yeah.
Euler.
Well, that was they got the execs did it for her, and then she does, a whole tour with Tony Bennett.
Yeah.
And then
that album is amazing.
And then her songs in the movie with Bradley Cooper.
Yep.
It's like
Star is Born.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Shallow is an amazing tune.
Great tune. Yeah.
Like, but she's like, I've seen interviews with her and stuff, and she's fun. Like, I will admit here on our podcast, that I love her. Yeah. I think she's an amazing talent, and don't ever change.
Don't ever change.
Her and Pink. I love Pink too. She's just like, you don't like me? Kiss my ass. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she's not out there pushing stuff that she doesn't like. She's doing what she wants.
Yeah.
And I wish for every artist to get to that point where they can just be themselves, put out the product they want. And if you like it, great. If you don't, well, wait for the next one. Maybe that'll be more your style.
Or go away.
You've got that option.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's amazing to me how they get trolled by people who have no idea what they're talking about. You know, it's like,
I can't believe people would say something to a stranger the way they speak to them on social media.
it's easier, right?
Of course.
It's faceless,
of course.
right? I can sit here and go,
That's the thing with bullying too. Like
Yeah.
you can bully anybody by commenting on a photo. You can't say it to their face.
yeah.
You have to see their face, or you get punched in the face.
Yeah, most bullies don't, though, right? Because they're cowards.
No, that's right. At
And,
least
I'll say that, and I don't care because, like,
you can say whatever you want, man. You're absolutely right.
But the thing is, it's amazing to me. Like, just the whole the Twitter thing kills me. It's like, why do you need to be mean to somebody because you don't like the way they look or the way they talk or the way they sing? Don't listen to it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very simple.
Or even like the whole, like what Ricky Gervais said is, he goes, like he writes something on Twitter and he's got like 17 million followers. And somebody's like, he said, well, I don't like that point of view. And it's like, well, that's as if you went to the town square and you saw a poster on the wall with a phone number that says guitar lessons. And you go, take it, I don't want guitar lessons. Well, then keep moving.
Yeah,
you can move on.
Don't take one of the tabs and walk away.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Well, it's just like, and it's amazing now. It's like even Morgan Freeman's like, if you don't like what I'm talking about, that's okay. We're allowed to disagree. I can disagree with you. We're still friends. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You have your opinions. I have mine. Doesn't make me want to punch you in the face because you don't like this. Well, okay, that James doesn't, or Gus doesn't like that. And let's move on.
Is that a relationship you want to have?
No.
Like, to me, I don't want to have a person that's like, of course you're going to agree on a lot of stuff because you're going to have similar interests and you're going to have, however, you're not going to want to have a person in your life that doesn't like your point of view and then shits on you when you say your own opinion.
Right.
Like, I would hate that. I'd be like, no, I'm not going to hang out with you anymore.
No, that's just
because and not that I disrespect your opinion. I respect your opinion. You just don't respect mine.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, it's like we can sit here and disagree on something and still talk to each other. It's like, I don't understand why people get so out of shape.
April Wine's not a good band.
We're done here. But you know what I mean? It's just, it's amazing to me that people can be so petty about things. And then, like, especially people who have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to sit here and criticize Lady Gaga. I'm not a musician. I'm not a singer. If I like her stuff, I'll tell her, hey, your stuff's awesome. If I don't like it, I won't listen to it.
Yeah, and you would just keep your opinion to yourself, too, because it's negative.
Yeah, I don't want...
You're not an asshole.
No, but I mean, I've DJed for years and years, and there's stuff I play that I don't like or don't care to listen to, but I'll still play it out of respect for the people who want... I have a party coming up on Monday at Perkins, and one of the girls there sent me a playlist, and I don't like any of the stuff on it. It's all the rap stuff, and it's just like, I was listening to it on my walk today, and I was like, yeah, not my style. But am I going to say no? No, I'm going to play it because that's the respect that she deserves.
Mm-hmm. I'm
going to play it at the party because she asked me for it. If there were young children there, it wouldn't be played.
Yeah.
But it's all adults at Perkins, so I will play it. And it's like Cardi B and, yes.
I don't really down with that either.
No, but anyway, just some of the lyrics are just kind of like offensive to me personally. And I'm, I must be getting old because
WAP, IWAP.
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I figured, yeah.
And I'm like,
I mean, there's some offensive stuff that I like that was, you didn't think of it as offensive, like, Tupac, Biggie, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg.
Yep.
They all said stuff about women that you probably wouldn't agree with.
Yeah.
But you like the track.
Yeah, but I choose not to listen.
Or just choose to know that it's just art and they're just like messing around because we're all married and they're not talking about an actual. Yeah, I hope not. Anyway.
Oh, me too. Anyway, so yeah, that's where I was at today with listening to that stuff. But I will play it at the party.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That'll be fun for you for on Monday.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Well, this was fun, man.
Yeah, this was a good time when our brand new setup here in my apartment.
Yeah, you should see it. It's
Yeah,
it's cleaned up. It's ready to go.
Yep.
We're gonna do a few specials here. I think we'll have a Christmas special.
I think so.
We've got my buddy John coming on next week.
Okay.
He's an indie music. Like, he's not a musician.
Okay.
But he's like us. But he knows everything about indie music.
Nice.
So we'll be talking about indie music.
Nice. That'll be a good chat.
Yeah, man.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, so we'll do that back at the Audio Valley.
Yep.
And then we'll have our little setup here when we need to.
Yeah.
It sounds great, though.
Yeah, it does. It's working awesome.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a great week.
All right. Take care.